Всем привет, здравствуйте из Новой Zealandии. Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. Thank you guys so much for learning about my journey, watching my story and watching my videos. Thank you so much. I appreciate the support. I read you guys' comments and I can't thank you guys enough. Spasiba большое. Now in this video, I really want to take a trip down memory lane and go back to 2013 when I was 21 and before I went to Russia for the first time to meet my birth parents. Now obviously I left Russia, I was born in Russia, but I left Russia when I was 2 years old. And I really want to go back and take you guys back about the feelings I was feeling prior to going compared to what it is like now going to Russia. Now in 2013, I was nervous, I was ready to go.
Am I doing the right thing or the wrong thing here? Am I breaking the rules here? Should I not be getting into their lives? Or, you got to be prepared for the worst with tracking them down.
All the feelings and emotions were building up until I was ready to go to Russia. Now before I went to Russia, I'll tell you, I don't know anything really about Russia at the time, and I was very nervous about what to expect, what the country was like, a country that doesn't speak any English. It was all new to me, really. It was going to be a whole new world for me, and I was ready for it. I was really ready for it, and I always prepared myself so much for this trip. I was building up the anticipation, I was getting nervous, I was talking to both of my birth parents throughout the year, letting them know the updates when I was ready to go, and when I was ready, and I knew that I was ready. But it took me a little while to emotionally and mentally prepare to get to Russia.
I'm so wrapped for Alex that he's tracked them down. He's got every right, everyone's got every right to know who where their beginnings are. And he's just very lucky, I think, that they're both willing to meet him.
There's apprehension and anxiety there naturally, but more so for Alex, for his feelings, etc. The anxiety I have is of him being hurt. I don't really. I think that it's really brilliant and it's amazing that he's managed to track them down and what he's done. So I'm really hoping that everything will work out really well.
I do know for a lot of adoptees, when they find a connection with their birth families or birth parents, it does take a while for everything to sink in and does take a while to get yourself prepared. I got in touch with my birth mother first. I made the phone call to her and she told me about Russia, explaining her town and everything like that. And I said, look, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to meet you. I'm ready to come over to Russia. My birth father, I remember contacting him for the first time. And remember, he didn't know anything about me. So when I Skyped him for the first time, he was full of tears, he was emotion. All of emotions, everything. He was crying, he was really upset, but he was very happy about it all at the same time. He said, please come to Russia as soon as possible. Here you go, here's photos of Russia. This is St. Petersburg, come to Russia. So as a 21-year-old looking back, I knew that I was still very young. I knew that, I thought to myself that time was ready for me. I was ready to go. And I talked to my parents, open and honest with my parents all the time. I always am, they're always open and honest with me. And I told them, look, I'm ready to go to Russia. I'm ready to make this big trip. I've decided I want to go now. And that's what I did. So at the end of 2013 was when I made the big trip to go to Russia and I was ready to go. I was very nervous about it. I remember getting on the plane and saying goodbye to my parents, going to the airport, showing them my Russian passport, them doing all the check-in, and then I said goodbye to my parents. And then it was the massive 2 days of flying pretty much to get to Russia, and that was a long time. And then I got to Moscow first. I remember that night getting into the hotel and looking out of the window and just saying, look, I'm here. I finally made it to Russia. I just remember that moment very clearly.
I'm actually here now. I made it after a long day. I'm in Moscow.
I got to Moscow first, it was nighttime, so I didn't see much of Moscow at all. But I remember that first night that I got there, I had some burgers and fries, and I thought to myself, wow, is this Russian food or is this, it's maybe not Russian food? No, it wasn't Russian food, obviously. It was just burgers and fries, and it started to make sense with me that all of this place was completely different. This country, this culture, everything was very new to me. Everything was fresh and new. And when I went over to Russia, I remember I did stay a night in Korea the night before, and I just had time just to reflect on everything, get enough sleep. And because I knew I was going to be very tired. I had not experienced jet lag before. That was another thing. It was all new to me. But all of that, on top of that, I was very nervous and excited. And I was very excited to meet my birth mother. So the next morning, after landing in Moscow the night before, we took the 6-hour drive to meet my birth mother. I remember my birth mother, Tatiana, was calling us along the way to go and see her in a town. And she said, I'm ready. I really want to meet you. Please tell me when you get here. So we got there at lunchtime. I got out of the car, walked over, gave her the hug. It was a bit awkward at first. As you know, it was very awkward meeting her the first time. But we were both in a very nervous situation. I was very nervous, she was nervous. I think I definitely know that she was quite ashamed of everything and she was embarrassed. And I understand that for her, everything, I put herself in her shoes all the time and I said, look, I'm reconnecting with you and I'm very happy and proud that we have been able to do this and I've come all this way. But she was ready to meet me and she was excited and she was ready to make that connection with me and I was ready to make that connection with her. I'd only talked to her a few times and wrote a few letters to her prior to meeting her, but she was ready to meet me and I knew that inside her emotions are very hard to, inside she's got a lot of emotions, but on the outside she didn't really show them. But I was very, very happy and I felt a massive sense of relief and a big sense of closure actually with meeting her. And so she showed me around the town and I was like, whoa, this is crazy, this is pretty incredible. And Instagram was all new to me, Facebook was all new to me. So I was taking photos thinking to put them up on, online. And I didn't do a selfie, but I did a photo of my birth mother and just meeting her. And it's like, this is my birth mother, I've met her, I'm very happy. And I was quite young, I was young looking back. I was very young at doing this. I knew no Russian at all. Нет по-русски, нет.
I've tried my best to learn Russian. It's so hard.
Очень трудно дается, хочешь выучить русский.
Я понимаю.
I understand.
Но сейчас много. Я думаю, я знаю много по-русски. Anyways, this isn't a Russian lesson. Anyways, after seeing her, we walked around town and this whole time, the time felt very, very fast. I'll be honest with you, the time felt very fast and I felt like it went too fast. And then after that, we had to go back to Moscow. We stayed the night in Moscow. And again, I had really bad sleeps actually when I've come to think of it, I had really bad sleeps when I first went to Russia. Everything was just overwhelming for me, the emotions. I was talking to my parents very often, every night. And they always kept updated with the time zones, of course, with all due respect, the time zone. But I was talking to them, even video calling them, and they were just like, how is everything going? I hope you're having a good time. And I said, yes, I've met my birth mother. And I said to my parents, I have felt like my life is complete. Well, 50-50. I haven't met my birth father yet at this point, but I said, this is the most incredible day of my life. So the next day was another big day. We had to get up very early. We had to get to the airport. And I remember going into the airport, going to another whole different airport in Moscow. Everything was new again. Every day is new. And then we went to St. Petersburg. Got on the taxi and I met my birth father. And he was, as you've seen many times, he picked me up. He was just excited. He had his wife there and the daughter was there and the grandma and the whole family was there. And in my head, I always thought to myself about Russia. I always thought to myself, what I see in books and movies, Russian signs everywhere, no one smiles, everyone's angry all the time. I always thought maybe Russia was like that, but I had such a good time. Everyone was smiling, everyone was joking. It's of course what you see on TV and what you read about Russia. But I always say, and I've been to Russia a few times now since then, I've been 8 times actually. I love Russia, beautiful country, and St. Petersburg is incredible. The people are nice. They open up to you. They definitely open up to you. And every Russian I've met, even if he was very serious in the beginning, he would say, "Привет," very, serious. Doesn't smile. It's okay. But I say to him, I crack some jokes. I always crack jokes with Russians, and then they start smiling and they become your best friend. I always felt that with Russians, and I explain my heritage and my roots to them all the time and they go, wow, you're a true Russian man, and they love that. I'm not going to say it's like that as well, but a lot of Russians just, they open up to you. You have a good time with them, you show them respect, you show them honesty, you tell them your life if you want, you tell them your story, you tell them where you're from, and they'll be your best friend, I guarantee that. I met my birth father. And the emotions this day was more excitement. I was so excited to meet him. He was talking to me all the time on Viber, calling me, speaking to me in Russian. I had no idea what he was saying. I remember in the hotel room the night before, I called him and said, look, I'm ready to come and meet you. And he said, oh, Sasha, what time? So it was all I felt very embarrassed that I knew no Russian at all. I was very embarrassed and I felt quite ashamed. And it was like a triggering point for me when people speak Russian and I had no idea what they were saying. It is still like that at times with me now, but at the point where now it's the other way around, I kind of just, not the other way around, but the other way where I'm just like, what did you say? Please teach me a new word. And people talk to me about it and that makes me feel very comfortable now. But back then I was angry at myself that I couldn't speak Russian or understand a word that people were saying. And they're speaking it very fast, but that was just all at the time. So that was another emotion that was going through my mind thinking, this is where I was born, this is the country I was born in. I'm very angry at myself that I don't understand a single word. So, except for hello and thanks and goodbye. But that was just the early days back then. So meeting my birth father, we had food, everything, as you've seen many times. He handed out gifts like anything and just talked about his life to me, showed me multiple photos of his life, and the relationship really built so fast just in that one meeting. It was incredibly crazy, and I knew that this was the start of something pretty new. You know, just coming all this way from here and all of the build up to going to Russia, my emotions before that compared to now. Now this is the part I really want to explain, how I feel now about going to Russia. Back then, I was just anxious. I was very anxious. I was excited. I knew my life was going to change, and it did. I felt a big sense of a new chapter of my life opening. Felt like my life completely changed. Russia has a big part of me, and it always will. But when I was in Russia as well, I did feel very homesick. I wanted to come home. There was a point where I just miss home. I miss my family. But remember, I was 21 at the time, so I wasn't a big traveler. I wasn't a big traveler then. It was all new to me. Traveling and stuff was all new to me. I knew that this felt right. I knew what I was doing was right. I knew that there is no right way. You never know what's going to be the perfect trip. You never know what's going to happen when you get there. My birth mother, you just don't know. My birth father, you just don't know. They might turn around and say, no, I don't want to meet this person. I was going to say, meet this crazy, what's he talking about? It wasn't like that. But I was always running in my head, what happens if we've come all this way and they don't want to meet? That was always something that I always thought about, but I knew that we have to be ready for it, and I was very prepared for it. And my parents followed me right until they said goodbye to me at the airport. They said, I love you, son. I love you. Please have a good time. And I just had a good time. I just enjoyed it. I had a blast. I had fun with it. And I knew that I had to just really take in everything, every step of the way in every journey, because this was a new big step of my life, and I was ready to take that. If I was going to be going to Russia in a negative sense and angry at my birth parents, I knew that I wasn't going to enjoy it. So I knew that I just have to make this happen for me, and no matter what I see, I'm going to learn from it. And that was a big stepping stone in my life. I really feel that. So after that, you know, I went back to Russia a few years after that, and I started to get myself a little bit familiar with St. Petersburg and Moscow, even the Moscow airport I know quite well now, or both of them, both of the two big ones. And you know, St. Petersburg, I got myself familiar with it again when I went back, and I've been back in summertime in St. Petersburg. I've been back in the wintertime again, New Year's last year. And now when I go to Russia, I get very excited. I book my flights myself, everything. The first time I went to Russia, everything was booked with me and my parents. We sat down, because I don't know where to go. I don't know the best way to fly. It was all organized, all as a family. But this time now, I just go online, I just book my flights. I always tell my family in Russia, look, I'm gonna be in Russia very soon. You know, are you guys available to meet up? And if I'm doing other projects, meeting friends now, and I've grown a lot of friends in Russia, and I'm so thankful that I have. And I've just connected myself more with the Russian culture and the country itself. So now every time I plan to go to Russia, I get very excited. I'm not nervous like I was first time. It's not a big thing of the unknown. It's the feeling of the unknown. That's what it really is. And if you're a person who is reconnecting with your roots, grow that connection with them first. Grow the small steps, because that's what I did with my birth parents. I talked to them a lot. I learned about Russia. To be honest, I was really bad at trying to learn a bit of the language. People told me I should. That was my fault. I'm not good at learning languages back then. Now I focus more on it, but back then I was really focusing on connecting with my birth parents and just learning about them, learning about their life. And so when I get there, I knew that I can be comfortable around them, and I was completely comfortable. I came back home. I remember my friend picked me up from the airport, and I told him, look, my life has changed. I don't know how to describe it, but my life has changed. And then that weekend I went up to see my parents. I remember telling them, my family, said, look guys, I don't know how to explain this, but this was one of the most incredible moments of my life, and I still look back and it still is. So yeah, that's how I feel with going back, my feelings, emotions and everything. And I hope I didn't talk too much for you guys, but I really thank you guys so much for following my journey ever since then. And even if you're new to my channel, I can't thank you guys enough, because I'm growing up, obviously I'm 28 now, and things have changed, and I'm telling more stories, and I want to connect with more of you guys all around the world and help other adopted people as well. That's why I have my I'm Adopted community, helping adopted people connect with other adoptees, and that is my focus too, and I make that my priority in my life, and I just want to keep doing that. I'm going to go back to Russia again when everything kind of calms down, but I just want everybody to know that, you know, this changed my life, and I'm very thankful for that, and I'm very grateful. And I know that every story is different. Everybody has a different story. Not every story is going to be with a good ending. I know that. I completely know that. I hear stories all the time, and I always say to people, just be prepared for anything that comes your way, and just be prepared and know that you've got support there. Have the support there. Talk to people, and just know that you've done everything you can. You're doing everything you can, and that's what I always said. You just did everything you could, and if you're never going to go, you're never going to know. So I always say that just try your best. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I always want to say spasibo большое. Now back in 2013 I did know spasibo, but I didn't know the большое part, so I'm working on that part now. It's taken that long. I'm joking. Shuka, это shuka. Спасибо большое. И до свидания из Новой Зеландии. И пока. Спасибо. Пока.